Job interviews are daunting. Your hands sweat, your throat dries up, and you couldn't mutter a word of response when you're being asked. I wasn't gifted with much charisma back then, compared to some of my friends and relatives. And my resume isn't all that grand. Being the extreme introvert that I am, applying for a job was... well, I had to. Out of necessity. So my sister booked me an interview for a call center job. Going into the said company for the interview, going inside I was stopped by the guard. He made me do all of that security thing. I left them my college ID, and I proceeded upstairs. When we exited the elevator, there was another door. I was about to go inside when... it was freaking cold. I was shrugging like Dracula the moment I went inside. At the desk was this guy. I told him I was there for the interview. I left him my resume, and I waited there for a bit. It was cold, but I was fine because I still had my jacket, so I was okay. But I gave it to a certain someone, because she didn't have one at the time, and she was getting cold too. When the guy called me, he gave me this ID, and told me to use it to open the door. It didn't really open like that. It was more of a security lock, and you had to open it on your own. Inside there was a flat screen TV, and some metal chairs, connected to each other. Just when I thought everything was going to get better, they got... I'm not exaggerating. I didn't have lunch that time, and I forgot I left my jacket too. While she still had class that afternoon, I was left to fend off from the cold, with an empty stomach, and an interview to anticipate. There were a lot of people there for the interview too, but I kept my distance and avoided talking to them, shrugging at the edge of the chairs. When the guy called us in, he interviewed each of us inside this little office room. When it was my turn, so, Mr. Yes. You're a college IT student. What year exactly? I dropped out of my first semester because we didn't have money to pay for my tuition.
First year. I just finished my first semester.
Oh, I see. And this went on. He asked me some personal questions too, like, when did you start speaking English?
Kids. Cartoons.
Do you have any hobbies?
Drawing. Anime.
Do you play games? I'm a level 170 gladiator full set Arcadium +5 with dual red osmium shaft rambling. Like Warcraft and League of Legends?
GG.
After the interview, he announced that we were going to do some tests. We were grouped and we waited for our turn to be called. Every test I took, I was shivering from the sheer cold. The hairs on my skin were standing up, and I tried my best not to fidget and jitter out of control on my seat. The only warm place I found around the building was the men's bathroom, so I would excuse myself a lot of times to go to the bathroom just to stop my body from shivering. We were tested for our communication skills, reasoning skills, typing skills, and intelligence. We were nearing the end, only one last test and we could go straight for the final interview. The final test was a call simulation. Each and every one of us needed to confront a worried customer over the phone. But it was only acting. Our instructor was going to be the worried customer, and we were supposed to be the ones to talk to him and resolve his problem. Everyone was waiting. It took others 5 minutes, while others took 20. We decided to take a break before proceeding to the next batch, so all of us at the time went to their small cafeteria to buy some coffee. I thought drinking something hot would ease the tension, but it didn't. I was even more jittery afterwards. My throat dried up. My stomach was hurting because I didn't have anything to eat. That was a bad idea. And I was gonna do the final test. When it was finally my turn, I was placed into the small room with a computer and a telephone sitting on the desk. I was instructed to wait until the phone rang, marking the beginning of the test. Our instructor left me to familiarize myself with the tools and of the stuff on the computer. There were numbers, and there were names, and there were even more numbers. The temperature in the coffee I just digested made it difficult for me to even care about what's happening right now. Hello? Hi there. I was calling in because I noticed my bank account had a decrease of $15 2 days ago without me knowing. Why is that? Oh no. I looked at the numbers on the screen. They were actually self-explanatory. Everything was laid out perfectly, and I just had to tell him these specific numbers and dates, and calculate some subscriptions on his account, and sum up the amount. After contemplating, I confidently replied, Eh. Are you okay?
Your account... You have subscribing. There are $20 in whole.
Of? I need to pee. I failed, but they were ready to make an exception. So even though I failed miserably, they still wanted me to take the final interview. I just sat there, waiting to be called. The sudden rush of embarrassment heated up my body. My heart was pumping blood twice as fast now. I guess I had a little adrenaline rush. Because of that, I had a surge of confidence. My mind was clear and my body was combating the cold. When I was called, I went in with a boastful smile on my face. I went through their questions like butter, answering them with a confident streak, until they asked me one last question. Why should we hire you? I leaned forward and said, I think you're going to lose a very valuable asset to your company if you don't hire me.